Social psychologists posit that early input of parents shape the thinking and behavior of people even at the later stages of their lives, indicating that parenting has its own enormous impact in building a well-developed society. Now, I would like to paraphrase my guest's outlook for bringing up great research to sustainable development, and that is through parenting. This will in turn beget greater offspring and building blocks for the rest of humanity. Now you can be let into the knowledge, the skills and strategies to raising wholesome, balanced and responsible children. Those are words. And how? Well, you'll find out with my guest in a moment. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. Her mantra is, you can raise a wholesome child while building the life of your dreams. She likes to refer to herself as a conscious parent and nation builder. My guest is a firm believer, preacher, and executor of parenting as the root of all sustainable development. She's a doctor by training, as a doctor of optometry by training, and her mission transcends her role as a certified child psychologist and professional parents coach. She's also a certified neuro-linguistic practitioner, seasoned speaker, and author. And for her, this is a passion that is just beyond what nature will just give to you. So I believe we're right on time and on the spot to actually present to you someone who is living what she preaches. My guest is Dr. Vivian Okoye. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
Having me. Thank
now,
you.
parenting for so many is a calling.
Yeah.
And it's not just for those whom you have bettered as maybe biologically. It goes beyond that for you and for those you've seen around. And this has taken you to various platforms, the different stages to talk about parenting and the child psychology. Tell us about what you've seen over the years. Somebody will say, okay, oh, she looks pretty young, but then it's not in the age, it's in the experience you've garnered.
Okay, so pretty well since 2013. Okay, it all started in 2013 when I was exposed to mentoring a lot of teenagers, right? And while working on that project, I realized how much the parental influence of these teenagers affected how they carried on with life, because you see a lot of teenagers who were excited about what they were being taught, excited about doing great things, and you send them home and they come back and it looks like this is not the person you just spoke to yesterday, and you realize that this has something to do with what is going on at home and what is going on with their parents and the relationship they have at home. So yes, and over the course of time from 2013 till this point, I have worked with a lot of parents, a lot of children and young adults, as well as I am a mother of two, for those who might be wondering, right? So truth is, parenting has a huge influence on who a person becomes, because psychologically speaking, when a child is born, they come into the world not knowing anything. So the first 7 years of a person's life or a human's life is like programming. So whatever they see, whatever is done to them, however people show up to them, whatever they perceive around them becomes their own idea and map of which they now show up to the world. So that first 7 years is very, very critical in a person's life. And the first 7 years, usually you're a child and your primary environment is your family, your primary influencers are your parents, and then to an extent maybe your teachers and some other adults who care for you. So it's really, really, really the first 7 years, the parent-child relationship is really, really a determinant on who a person becomes and how they relate to the world, how they show up to the world, how they relate to other humans.
Okay, I'd like to still go on to something you voiced, and you said investing in intentional parenting is our key to becoming better humans.
Yes.
So that means even the parents will have to have something in
Yes.
them before they can even influence that
Yes.
first 7 years, like you said, and
Yes.
ultimately the later years.
Yes.
So how intentional have you seen parents in this period that you've worked with some of these children on the stages?
You know, owing to I believe that people are becoming more aware because we're speaking a lot. I personally am in people's faces, like with no apologies, because I know how far this thing can go. But because of the kind of society we are in, becoming a parent is just like a prerequisite to marriage, which I think it shouldn't be. You should become a parent when you are ready, and not just financially ready, because that is what people might consider when you talk about being ready to become a parent. But you have to also be mentally and psychologically ready to, you know, be sure that you can be available and, you know, ready to take care of children, because they're very demanding. It's not just the walk in the park. People are not very intentional, but it's getting better. I think that, you know, what parenting does to us, if you want to be an intentional parent, what it does to you, or what I call conscious parenting, what it does to you is it helps you look at your own life. The question I tell people to ask, or parents to ask, is look at yourself. Will you be happy if the child you're raising becomes exactly who you are? Everything, both the secret you and the public you, right? So what that's
Thought-provoking question you put out to them.
Yes. So what that does to you is, because your children are watching you and learning how to behave. It's not just about what you're telling them. It's more about what you do, right? So what that question does to you, it helps you sit back and, you know, try to make an assessment of your own life. And, you know, if you're really ready to walk that walk and take that journey, it makes you reshape your own self, become a better person, because you want to raise a better human, and you have to be that model for that child.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I know the society is a makeup of several families.
Yes.
I'm going to get out of this enclosure now, of this closed unit, to the larger society.
Yes.
And I'm asking that question, this question, just as a follow-up to the first one, or the second question I actually put to you.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen children, supposedly,
Yes.
in very wonderful homes.
Yes.
They step out of the immediate family, and they get the mix-up somewhere, whether in school or in society, because from schools, of course, to the streets, for
Yes.
those who will be on the streets,
Yes.
and ultimately anywhere they find themselves.
Yes.
And they turn differently
Sound,
from what
yeah.
is known for them in the homes, or whatever it is they've been known about at home.
Yes.
And it's something else that we're seeing. Some of those products are from families.
Yes.
And today, we'll see a crop of students or some other individuals unleashing mayhem, unleashing trouble on the society. What went wrong?
Okay. There will be external influences. Definitely, you cannot be with your children 24 hours a day. And at some point, you're going to release your children into the world, be it school, and they're going to mix up with other people from other families. But the important thing to do is to actually start on time. Number one is to create a relationship. I think that is usually the missing link, right? To create a relationship that is not non-judgmental. So most times, why these people just lose it? There's nothing that says your child may not, even if you're a good parent, your child will not make a mistake. But if you have a relationship, you have a higher chances of, you know, realizing and redirecting your child. But when there is no relationship, your child is probably going to talk to someone else who may not have the capacity to direct them as you would. Then another thing to do is to start on time, to start instilling values in your child. Parenting is brainwashing, just like everything is brainwashing. What you're exposed to, what you listen to, what you see, what you watch determines what goes on in your head and the kind of person you become. So on time, start to instill, by every means possible, instill the values that you want your children to have and to live by. You have to determine what those values are, and you have to start. Like, every possible opportunity you have, you should be teaching those values. What this does is that your child is going to hear a lot of voices. The media is going to speak to your child. The world is going to speak to your child. Peers are going to speak to your child. But let your voice be the loudest. When that moment of truth comes, when your child is about to make a decision whether to go here or go here, let them be able to hear your voice and realize where they're coming from. And, you know, they're able to say, no, I cannot do this because of where I'm coming from. And when there's a relationship, there's loyalty and there's trust.
Because you talk about creating a relationship.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so in creating this, you can earn the trust of your child.
Yes, yes.
Whichever voice is coming to that child,
Yes.
that child can always get back to you to clear with you.
Yes, I always say that it's not about raising a perfect child. It's actually about raising a child who can come back to you when they have made a mistake. So I ask parents, if your child messes up right now, will they have the boldness to come to you and say, Mommy, Daddy, I've messed up? Do they trust your reaction, or are they going to run further away from you? So if they're going to run further away from you, that takes them deeper into whatever it is that they're struggling with. But if they are able to come back to you and say, I've messed up, then you have the opportunity to, you know, salvage the situation.
Okay. All right, Dr. Vivian Okoye, we're going on a break now.
Okay.
When we get back, we'll be taking a look at other areas where parents are not actually available, because I know, like you pointed out, it can be 24/7 with a
Yes,
child.
yes.
And working parents today, we can definitely tell you
course.
that it's not every time that we have parents
Yes.
on the lookout for their children. But all of this and other issues that concerns parenting and child psychology, we'll be talking with you after this break. Yes, you're watching On the Spot, and our focus is on parenting and also child psychology. Who is the perfect child, or can we have the perfect family that will build up the sustainable nation? Well, my guests will be talking to us after this break.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms:
Start Times Channel 101, Freak TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles: Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
News and more news.
Okay, welcome back. If you just tuned in, the program is On the Spot, and I'm still with my guest, Dr. Vivian Okoye. She is a child psychologist and also a parenting coach. Today's parenting is certainly different from the days of our mothers and our grandparents. Most of them were there as homemakers. Today, we have to do the extra jobs. We have to do the extra income, so we're not always there. There are influences around the home, no doubt.
Yeah.
We've seen children as young as even toddlers being molested, sexually molested, and some other domestic violence unleashed on them. Where are your concerns in this regard? Because I know such cases will have come to your platform as well.
Yeah. So this is why I say you need to prepare before you become a parent, right? So part of that preparation is also knowing that you have trusted support if you are a working parent, if both of you have to work outside of the home. So part of that preparation has to involve that you have the right support, or that you have made arrangement for how you're going to care for the child for the times when you are not available, be it, you know, hired support, family, nanny, and all of that. You have to think through the process before you you bring in a child. And being a working parent, no doubt there's things have changed. We're in the 21st century. The bills are not smiling.
Not at all.
And you have to work and pay the bills, which is also part of, you know, providing and caring for the children. But there is a place for priority as well. And there is a place for touching base. I always say, no matter how busy you are as a parent, always devise a structure or a system that enables you to touch base with your children, and then relationship comes back again. So if you have relationship and you make yourself available and accessible, whatever happens when you are not available comes back to you, is reported back to you because you're accessible. So regardless of how busy you are, say you're working outside of the home or you're busy, you should be able to create a system where your children are very aware that they have access to you.
Is that a touch-based thing?
Yes, and no, touch base means you devise a means where you're asking, you're available, what happened, not like you have not been at home all day and then you just come and you're like, I want to sleep, I'm tired, and all of that. Always touch base, checking with the children, checking with them physically, spiritually, emotionally. A human being is three-dimensional, so you have to, don't just ask, have you eaten? That's physical, right? Check in, how are you feeling? What happened today, right? So you want to always touch base with the children. You want to have the right support and screen your support. Screen the people that have access to your home, regardless of whether they are family or anything. Screen, pay attention. If you have to invest in security cameras, you have to do that for the sake of your children. You can do that to, you know, have a third eye when you're not available. So you have to do due diligence to protect your children for when you are not available. You can't just leave your child with someone and say, oh, they're fine.
Of both parents, I know it works either way for children. Maybe the girl, there's the daughter to the father, or the son to the mother.
Yes.
Now, at beyond the 7 years, because after 7 years, of course, the children start getting more aware of who they are, and this is how I should behave. Like my son would say, I'm a chi adult. I was wondering what kind of coinage is a child, but at the same time is an adult. So he coined that actually. So how do you get that closeness, that relationship you're talking about now? Because after a while, there's this, okay, I'm self-aware. No, I shouldn't actually tell mommy this. I can confide in daddy more than mommy. How do we strike a balance to help those children?
Okay, so I always say that to parent a child, you have to become a child. So you have to be in touch with what their age range is doing, right? And you have to meet them where they are. It's all about rapport, right? So if you are all serious and uptight to your teenager, they're not going to open up to you. But if you start to show interest in what teenagers do and the things that they do and love, yeah, you're meeting them where they are, and it's more likely that they're going to say, oh, mommy it's what's up, mommy knows what's up, mommy is a cool mom, and you know they're going to open to you. And as for who they open up to, whether the father or the mother, there is really no rule around that. I think that it's the child, is the person, the parent that the child is more comfortable with, maybe probably based on the relationship that they have built over time, that they will open up to. So it's now your own duty as a parent to make conscious effort. It's a journey. It's not a one-off something. Building on relationship is a continuous investment. You know, shutting your child down, not giving them a benefit of the doubt, not giving them the opportunity to explain themselves. So I believe that when a child does something wrong, instead of just jumping in and judging, I prefer you ask the question why. So you understand. That's like giving them the opportunity to explain themselves. And sometimes you realize that you may have judged wrongly. They might have had a legitimate reason for doing that thing in their own thinking and understanding. And then you teach. That's a better approach than when you judge. If you keep on judging, your child just feels that, you know, they can't do anything right. You're always judging them. And that's
so what does it do to the child? As a child psychologist, what does that do to the child?
It makes the child detached emotionally, because what every human being wants, what every human being wants is a place where they can feel worthy, where they can feel that they can be heard, where they can feel that they have a voice. So if I'm in an environment where my voice is not allowed to be heard, I just shut down and I stop speaking. And that's where you start to experience disconnect with your children, because at some point they're like, there's no point, because you always come with judgment, right?
Okay.
There's really no point talking to mom, there's really no point talking to dad, because anyways they have their own point of view and they're going to judge me, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
This aspect of being judgmental, because as you were talking, I just flashed back to the other question I asked you before the break. Ultimately, such children from such disconnected homes or disconnected relationship in the homes come back to the society,
Yeah.
mix with the rest of the society, and still not being heard or not being listened to by the authorities in the community, or getting what they should get. What happens to them?
What happens is that they interpret it as they don't have a sense of belonging, right? There is no sense of belonging in the family. It's all about what mommy and daddy want. I don't have a say in what happens here. So they're going to find a circle that accepts them and gives them that sense of belonging. That is where you see children getting into peers, smoking, drinking, getting into addictive behaviors, because in that space they feel like, oh, I belong here. I can say what I want to say. Nobody is judging me. I'm free to express myself, right? So there's no vacuum in life. So if you create that vacuum in the relationship that you have with your child is going to find somewhere else where they want to express it, because as a human being you want to express yourself, so where they can express themselves, and that's how you open your child up to influences that shouldn't have.
Now, because I know we have scores of such children in society today, parents are worried. Drug abuse and all of those ones are the order of the day for these children, and even families, even some are so ashamed they cannot even speak out. You're going to be using this media now to speak to such parents, to speak to such children. Should they be watching this program? What can be done? We can actually redirect the narrative for them.
So the first line of step is, to give them a supportive environment, which is, come back home just as you are, then let's find solutions together. I still love you. I may not love what you're doing, but I love you as a person. This is something we also need to understand, that you can hate your child's behavior, but your child's behavior is not your child, right? So the supportive environment, and then seek help. There are specialists who can help. There are institutions, rehabilitation centers, addictive recovery therapists that can help them, walk through the process of regaining their sanity and their, sense of mind.
Okay, you run this online, the first kind of, you said first of its kind in Nigeria, online training for parenting.
Yeah.
What are the kind of conversations that go on there?
Okay, so it's an online parenting school for parents, because a lot of us feel that you're ready to become a parent by just being able to give birth. Giving birth is just one aspect of parenting, but there are a lot of things that a lot of us do not know about parenting, about child behaviors. A lot of us are frustrated by the behaviors our children are exhibiting, like tantrums, pushbacks, talkbacks, and all of that. So we provide education on the things you need to do and get equipped for parenting. We provide education on how to handle childhood behavior. We provide education on emotional intelligence, anger management. We provide education on effective communication and how you can discipline your children without causing them trauma, because trauma is also a thing that we have seen to be very, very prevalent.
For your children, what has been the greatest okay, let's say, what's the best word you tell them and you get the very best out of them?
Okay, I know that children just want to know that they are loved, right? So I don't feel to tell them that I love them, and I don't feel to tell them that, I'm here. So most times what your children need is you, not anything else, not the presents, not the toys, not the schools and the big houses. It's you, and it's good for them. And you doesn't mean you being around. It is you being present, because you can be with your children 24 hours a day without actually being with them. probably you're with your TV, you're with your
They
phone,
need your attention,
and you're
and
not
with these days. And which is the last question I'm going to put to you. It's a technological world today,
Yes.
21st century, with all the virtual,
Yes.
the
yes.
virtual nurseries. Can parenting still thrive despite that?
That is where we need consciousness and intentionality, right? That is where we need consciousness and intentionality. The last time when we were speaking on International Day of Families, it was around families and the new technology. That was the
Yes.
conversation. And I was like, yeah, the technology has come to stay, but we have to find a balance. We have to make sure that we are not leaving our children for technology, because now what it looks like is, oh, your child cries and you give them to cartoon, your child is disturbing you and you give them to cartoon, right? So we have to find a balance where we are not allowing the technology to groom our children, because those technologies are also conditioning our children. So you don't let technology replace you. I think that's an
Child psychologist, parenting coach,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Vivian Okoye, thank you very much for coming on the
Thank you
spot.
so much.
It was great talking with you, really.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it on the program, on the spot for this week. We appreciate your time, and we also hope you find one strategy, one skill, one better way of being a better parent, and even being beautiful children for the development of our country, Nigeria. And that will be it. My name is Blessing Abu. Goodbye.